All right, let's stay on the bizarre here and move off of mullets. Apple could be a key catalyst in the days to come. Let's look ahead to what our next guest calls the tech Super Bowl of earnings. Wedbush senior analyst Dan Ives joins us now. Dan, always a great way with words. What do you expect from Apple when they report? You know, we're talking about this has been a bizarre earnings season so far. Could we see a disappointment from Apple on iPhones and guidance, but the stock still goes up?
Yeah, look, I think that's been the theme, just like Microsoft, and I think Tesla as well, right? In terms of just this narrative, I think with Apple, demand's holding up better than feared. I mean, that's what we've seen coming from Asia, and shortages clearly with the issue December quarter. There'll be some cautionary comments from Cook, but I view it as a positive catalyst because right now, Street's sort of fearing what ultimately Cook's going to say. And I believe the demand story in iPhone 14 Pro holding up better than expected.
So what is this going to tell us about the consumer right now, or even the consumer going forward in the next quarter and perhaps even for the back half of this year?
Look, I think it shows a stronger consumer than I think many would have thought where we'd be today. I think, look, the biggest issue with Apple is they have a golden install base, almost, right now, billion iPhones, and about over 20% of them have not upgraded their iPhones. So you have 220, 230 million iPhones haven't been upgraded in 4+ years. That gives them unique, I think almost Rock of Gibraltar-like ability to navigate this storm. And I think many have counted Apple out many, many times, no different than Rocky. And I think Cook is going to sort of flex the muscles Thursday night, along with the rest of tech. And that's our view. It's going to be a positive week for tech, despite many fearing it.
Rock of Gibraltar to Rocky. The
Guy's
analogies coming
on
fast
fire.
and furious here,
Dan.
If we take a step back for a second and just go to the theme of what Saz talked about in his note, this sort of, bizarreness, right, of this rally we've seen this year. What are you hearing in your discussions with clients? Are they sort of still confused, unsettled, uncertain in this market about some of the price action we've been seeing?
No, Julie, I mean, I tell you, like after these conference calls, like phones lighten up because investors sometimes can't understand the price action even the next day. I think Microsoft is a perfect example, but my view is tech stocks institutionally is probably as under-owned as I've seen since 2009. So no one's positioned for the sort of bad news is priced in. That's what we've seen from Netflix to Microsoft to ServiceNow, and of course to Tesla, which I think is the short covering for the ages. And that narrative, I think, is going to play out this week. Tech firms, they're cutting costs after spending like 1980 rock stars the last 4 to 5 years. And once Wall Street sees numbers are sort of lower, then you could buy these stocks.
Dan, do institutions want to see layoffs from Apple?
Well, first of all, Apple never hired at the pace of these other tech giants. You'll see cost cutting around the edges, but Cupertino, I mean, they're tacticians. That's why they never had that sort of, what I almost call that pandemic sort of wave that many of these tech firms are hiring, called 15, 20% more workers per year. They'll cut around the edges, but I think it just shows why Cook is the Hall of Fame CEO. And I think he's able to navigate another situation here in terms of not needing to do the layoffs that other tech firms have done.
And you, Dan Ives, are a Hall of Fame analyst. Dan Ives from Wedbush, always good to see you, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Great to see you.